I recently played a game called Is This Game Trying to Kill Me? And that made me think about metagames, specifically about games within games, and how this medium has to work extra hard to carry the same meaning of other self-reflecting art. Cinema within cinema, for example. You just need to point a camera at a screen. You also need good writing, and you need to make a good movie overall, but that goes for every movie. Meta theater means building 2 stages, usually, which I'm sure is a logistics hell, but that's it. Some actors become the pretend public, others act the actors of the inside play, and there it is. Theater in theater. As long as the metadrama is somewhat related to the events of the frame, that is, the outside play, the real public is going to see itself reflected in the simulated public. Any jokes about the play become meta-jokes. The incisive comments made by the in-public about the play they're watching can be applied to the story they're in. The fake public might become so inspired by the play to use it to solve a problem in the frame. This is also a teaching moment for the real audience, who will learn of the power of art and of theatre and how their life will be enriched by learning from their stories and other things that artists would really like to be true. I don't know if I buy it. I'm somewhat disenchanted with the power of art these days, but I do know that this rhetoric around meta stories is extremely popular. The reason is simple. It lets artists and tradespersons talk about their craft without having to resort to a different medium. A dramatist can talk about theatre without writing a treatise. A modern director can respond to fan criticism of the previous movie without resorting to blogging, which I think we can all agree is a good thing. It also helps that, as we established, meta stuff isn't hard. Writing a movie in a TV show or a stage in a play is a thing you can just do, especially when you can draw from so many stories that do the same thing. Games do not work the same way. A collection of minigames is not a metagame. Using the karaoke machine in Yakuza does not make Kiryu my reflection as the player, even though he's also playing a game. It doesn't make me see him as more of a person than he was before, because why would it? I was playing as him when he was beating people up, and I'm him now that he's at the karaoke. Meta stories about games do exist, they are beautiful, and I can't wait to tell you about them, but first we have to figure out why slapping a video game inside a video game does not cut it. Let's go back to that game I played. Is This Game Trying to Kill Me? Is a terrible name for a pretty neat game. The title makes it sound like one of those SEO word salad ripoffs of more popular games, like Black Legend Sun Wukong and Revenge Classic Bird VKL. Is This Game Trying to Kill Me does occasionally err a bit too close to Inscryption, like with all the fungi and occasionally with its art style. But honestly, I don't care. This game is clearly inspired by Daniel Mullins' games, and it's not afraid to show it. But it's also a whole video game with a lot more on offer than a perverse interest in shrooms. Is This Game Trying to Kill Me, which I'll call this game from now on, is about a guy that wakes up in a monster's house and is forced to playtest his fantasy puzzle game. The game is, however, magic, and interacting with it sometimes has an effect on the house you're in, or vice versa. Pressing the arrow button found on a table inside the house will move a block out of the way in the inside game. The same goes for the chessboard-like tiles on a totem, which you have to reorder to shape the flow of a river, and the many passwords hidden all over the dungeon of the in-game which unlocks stuff in the house. This game is really cool, but the story is barely there at all, and when it is, it's as derivative as they get, a much weaker version of the first act of Inscryption. But this is mainly a puzzle game, so it didn't matter that much to me. Or at least, it doesn't matter now. The way this game plays with the layers of the in-game and the out-game is fun, but it always seemed like it was going to do something more, something with staying power like Inscryption, and it never did. Let me give you an example. Midway through the game, a virus in the computer that the in-game runs on messes up the colors of the house. The whole world turns black and white, while glitchy visual effects make it even harder to see. You can't play like this, so you're sent to the basement to run the recalibration machine. It's a really fun and creative sequence. I love it, it's my favorite part of the game. Using this machine, as it turns out, is the puzzle game equivalent of setting up a new monitor, but for the whole world. Once you're done, you walk back and what do you find? A giant face sticking out of the wall, telling you something about a boar, I think? It's Inscryption. The game is pulling an inscription. Who is the boar? Who is the face? What's their relationship with the puppet monster that trapped you in this house? I don't know. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure there's nothing to know. The graphics setting puzzles? Brilliant. The gesturing at a story which simply does not exist? Not so much. Even if I enjoyed my time with this game, and I really did, I was a little disappointed by it. Not because it barely has a story, but because it felt like it was going to. More than that, I expected something meta, which as I said before, I'm a big fan of. Needless to say, it did not get meta, and in retrospective, I don't think it was trying to. And now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have managed, even if it tried. When I say this game didn't get meta, I'm talking about something very specific. This video game does contain another video game, but even though that seems pretty meta, it doesn't give me the same feeling as Inscryption or The Hex or even something like Tunic. I can tell instinctively that those games are doing something different, and I think I know what it is. Now, I know this is going to sound silly, but the metagame in this game is kind of like Super Turbo Turkey Puncher 3 from Doom. Super Turbo Turkey Puncher 3 is there, and I can play it, and that's it. It's a thing I can do in Doom. A side activity, like looking for secret doors or trying a platforming challenge. When I play the Turkey game, I don't see myself reflected in Doom Guy now that he's also a gamer, because he's not playing at all. If I don't click the mouse, he doesn't punch the turkey. I'm still the one in charge. When he games, when he shoots, when he dies, that's all me. He can't be my double, represent me, the player from the inside of the game, because we're one and the same. It's a similar story with this game. The protagonist is me, I'm playing as him. And so, when he takes control of yet another player in the in-game, that's also me. We're not really moving one layer deeper into the fiction, I'm just playing a minigame. And those aren't meta. The Splatoon loading minigame isn't meta. WarioWare is not meta. WarioWare even has a whole running joke about how the company, WarioWare, exists inside the game, WarioWare, and makes the WarioWare minigames. This doesn't mean anything. It's not meta, which is why it's a running joke and not the theme of the series. So, I started thinking, what's the difference between those games and Inscryption or Tormentia, or the little bit of Tunic where the camera backs away and reveals the TV set that Tunic is playing on? Opening the manual in that game makes me genuinely uncomfortable. Now that I've discovered all its fucked up little secrets, it feels like putting on the glasses from They Live, like I'm somehow switching to third-person view in real life. And Tunic looks like A Link to the Past but with a fox in it. Tunic, like Inscryption and Tormentia and more, have many layers of games, just like this game and WarioWare and UFO 50 do. The latter plays the extra game, the attempted metagame, inside a framing game, the one you buy, the one that exists in our reality. Meanwhile, Tunic, Inscryption and the others add a framing reality, a fake reality that only exists in the fiction of the game, in between the game world and actual reality. They don't hide a game within the game, but instead move back from it, revealing that the world which surrounds it is not our own. It can be a membrane in between, like Tormentia's childhood bedroom, or a stand-in for the real world, like in Inscryption. From this space, they can summon a fictional being that, while being an outsider, can peer into the game and even control it. A player, just like me. This character, just like the fictional public reacting to the real play, can freely comment on the game and on the act of playing it. When they speak to us, player to player, independent from each other's action, we speak as peers. It becomes so much harder to say that Luke from Inscryption isn't my double, that he isn't another player, because he's neither in Inscryption, the in-game, nor is he my character from the outside reality. We're both playing Inscryption, but I'm not playing as him. Now, my reality is clearly more real than Luke's. His life, his history, exists only inside the game and only when I'm using the software. But he doesn't feel like he's part of the game either. That's exactly what a surrogate audience is. They're as close as the story can get to summon one of their characters to sit next to me and comment along as I read through it. So, metagames get more meta when there's a second reality outside instead of a second game inside. Except when they don't. UFO 50, if you follow the ARG, tells a brilliant and somewhat tragic story about what art looks like when it has to play second fiddle to profit. And it does so by juxtaposing the giant meta puzzle that spawns many games with the games themselves. That is meta, obviously, and while it does create some kind of outside reality, it seems different enough to confidently put a dent in my beautiful, almost all-encompassing theory. Even Inscryption has games within games. While it's the fictional reality that surrounds it that pulls a lot of the weight, the whole first act is nothing but a microcosm of the mega game of Act 2. 3 of the 4 scribes, at first reduced to the role of playing cards, become players once the game is restored to its original form. So, today's lesson is don't trust me! I always get so excited with those high concept ideas and they never pan out, but at least I'm honest about it. The second lesson of today's video is this game trying to kill me? Yes! What? Sorry, I meant is this game trying to kill me? Very good game, that's also an important lesson. Tormentia is also very good, I have a video on that actually. So you should definitely watch my video on Tormentia because it's very interesting. Then you should play Tormentia because it's better than Is This Game Trying to Kill Me. Then you should play Is This Game Trying to Kill Me because it's still kinda nice. And then, by that point, I should have another video up. So you should definitely come back and check that out. It's going to be great. It's about how time travel has to follow my perfect formula or it will be bad every single time.